happy release date to Onyx Storm Book 3 in the Empyrean Saga by Rebecca Yaros. I'm sure all of you Romantasy lovers are knee-deep in Book 3. I still have to wait for my library hold because, you know, it just takes some time. It's a very popular book. For those of you who are already done or who are still waiting, what can we do to get that romantasy fix that we are craving so much after we had to wait so long for book 3? And since romantasy is nothing new, right, there has been urban fantasy that is very romance heavy for years. Twilight was very popular when I was still young. There are a lot of fantastic romantasy books out there. And in today's video, I want to talk about a few of my favorites that also all happen to be books by indie authors. So, packing Fourth Wing aside, let's talk about some of the other amazing romantasy books that you should pick up once you're done with Onyx Storm. Let's start with Danedrith's Assassin by Elizabeth Wheatley, the one series that I always have trouble pronouncing. Our main character, Amira, is cursed. She has to obey everything her father tells her to do, and that currently is to go and assassinate the next ruler of the kingdom. Problem is that assassination attempt goes horribly wrong. She barely escapes alive. And a couple of days later, when that next ruler of the kingdom arrives at their hometown, she tries to stay in the background and not get his attention. She has his attention anyway. And instead of killing her, he asks her to marry her. It is a very fascinating story that turns around a lot of tropes that are very well known in the romantasy or even in the fantasy genre, and does a really great job on making you think a certain way, like this is going to happen, just to leave you completely surprised when it doesn't. It is more reminiscent of medieval times, like the whole setting with the castles and the surrounding areas and how everything is described. There's lots of drama, lots of twists, lots of beautifully described scenes. Our character Amira and, you know, the love interest, Danedrith, have a very interesting relationship together that starts off a little bit of I don't trust you to, hey, we have a lot of stuff in common, let's work together and figure it out. Side characters are a lot of fun and add a really great dynamic to the book, and it's a fast read, very entertaining, just a lot of great moments in that book. A spice level in book 1 is very, very low, aka it's non-existing. It's a finished series of 5 books plus 1 novella, so you can dive right in and binge the whole thing if you would want to. And if that is something you enjoy, the author has a fantastic website with all of the other books that she is selling, plus a whole bunch of really fun merch. And if you follow her on Instagram, you can definitely see her humor. That's actually how I found out about the author, because she posts a lot of really fun sketches on Instagram. Next up is a longtime favorite of mine. That is the Last Gift series by Allegra Pescatore, with book 1 being Where Shadows Lie. In this book, we are following Eleanor, who deals with the after effects of a childhood illness that leaves her legs in constant pain. And at the beginning of the story, you're thrown into an assassination attempt of the king who is her father, just for that assassination attempt to completely go wrong, her figuring out that her brother is the one wanting to assassinate her father. Instead of killing the father and putting himself on the throne, he is tragically dying in her arms, and she is now next in line for ruling the kingdom. A lot of stuff happens at the same time, one of them being the rebellion that her brother belonged to kidnapping her, and she now has to figure out on which side she's on, of the one of the kings or on the side of the rebellion that just killed her brother. All of that while dealing with, hey, I have to do something because I am next in line, and I was never prepared for that. I actually spent a lot of time just having a good time with my girlfriend and with all of the other things. So yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Me being, you know, our main character, Eleanor, in this case. Also, a more medieval-inspired setting, but with a lot of very interesting modern twists. So, for example, you have running water in the castle. The characters use very modern language, like their curse and whatnot, throughout the book, which makes it for an interesting twist. Incredible found family and friendship dynamic. So, the group of friends Eleanor works with to figure out what it is that she is going to do after everything went wrong in her life is fantastic. So many intricate and varied character traits, which makes it really interesting because you'll definitely find 1 or 2 or 3 characters that you enjoy following along. Throughout the trilogy, a vast world with a lot of great settings that are described beautifully, so you can really immerse yourself into the island or the desert setting or wherever they are traveling to, with a lot of varied cultures that are also fleshed out so you can dig your teeth into it. Out of the recommendations that I have, the Last Gift series is definitely the most epic one. As you might have heard, a lot of LGBTQ and disability representation in the book, and they're all front and center with the main character, not some random side characters that were thrown in for marketing purposes. And this trilogy, which is the first arc of the Last Gift series, so there are more books planned in this series, but it has a good ending. But Allegra Pescatore got together with a bunch of other authors and they created Project AO, which is a collective for multiple series that are all set in the same universe, a little bit reminiscent of Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson, if you've read that before. If not, don't worry about it. I didn't read any of that either when I read the series, and I got along just fine. All of these different series that are out there interconnect with each other, and there are characters that are popping up in the different series. Technically, there's a reading order to this whole thing that you can find on their website. I read the Last Gift series all on its own. Again, no issue whatsoever. Moving a little bit out of Romantasy, more into Ro-Fi? Is there a shortening for Sci-Fi Romance? I don't know. But I'm talking about the Last Luminian series by S.G. Blaze. This is technically a romantasy, but it is a sci-fi setting because we are in outer space, we're traveling between planets, and all the characters and races are more alien-like. For example, there's a character with 6 arms, characters with purple skin, that kind of stuff. Lilla, the daughter of the king, who's our main character, she struggles with how her father rules the kingdom while she sees there are so many people in need that she wants to help with. So she joins the rebellion to go against her father and help those rebels that are stranded on her planet find a better life. There's a lot more going wrong in this world right now because there's an old godhood that is awakening that is known for destroying everybody on the entire universe. So she all of a sudden is thrown into that whole midst and has to figure out how to go against the most villainous villain ever with all of his millennia of magic experience, and she has just figured out that she has magical abilities and doesn't know anything about it. This is such a worst world. It's incredible. First of all of these imaginative alien items are done in such an interesting way. I've never seen anything like it before in any other fantasy or sci-fi series that I've read. So the author is very creative when it comes to the bestiary or just the characters and the different cultures and races that are out there, and what their history is, where they're coming from, why they like each other or don't, and all that kind of stuff. This feels a bit younger. I don't mean this in a negative way, like YA is bad or anything, but more in it is written for a younger audience. There are a lot of things that I, as a 40-year-old, find very cheesy. Some of the names are a bit cheesy, like that villain is called the Dark Lord of Destruction, and she just calls him by the acronym DLD. But the overall variety and plot just keeps me glued to the pages. If you love meddling gods, this series is definitely for you. It is so much fun to see how these different, like the villain god and the god that picks our main character as her chosen one. It is so fun to watch how they interact with the mortal world. Definitely creative. As far as I know, this series is not finished yet, but the author is actively publishing new books. Book 5, for example, just came out at the end of 2024, but I don't know how long this series is supposed to be. And if you're ever in the LA area during WonderCon or LA Comic Con time, she has a ginormous booth. She hires actors to reenact certain scenes out of the book. It's a whole production and it's super cool, which also then allows you to pick up some really cool merch, get the book signs, all of that fun stuff. So even if you might be a little bit hesitant to dive into sci-fi, don't. This series is perfect for that because it has a lot of fantastical elements. They are just packaged in a more sci-fi setting. Lastly, I have a really quick bonus recommendation, which I think is an incredibly well-written sci-fi duology. Unfortunately, the author currently took it down from Amazon, so you cannot purchase it unless for some used paperback copies that I wouldn't do because they're completely overpriced on Amazon. But if you want to keep an eye on it, the author said on Twitter that she is currently writing again, so hopefully she will put up her duology on Amazon again so you can get it. And in particular, I'm talking about Aestus by S.C. Atwell. It's again a more sci-fi romance story. We are on Earth in the far future. The planet has gotten so hot that people cannot live on the surface anymore. Instead, they build a whole city underneath in caverns and whatnot. And just experiencing that whole setup and how they're governed this whole city and everything is fantastic. This book's writing quality is akin to some of the best authors out there. It is entertaining, fast-paced, it keeps you glued to the pages, and there's a reason why it made, I believe, second place in the science fiction awards. I think it was the second one of them. It's a fantastic book. As I said, unfortunately, currently not available, but keep an eye out. As soon as it becomes available again on Amazon, I highly recommend you to snag a copy. If you've gotten that far and you enjoyed my recommendations, don't forget to put down your Romantasy recommendations down in the comments so we have more stuff that we can read while we wait. And with that, I hope you found something that you can now read now that you finished Onyx Storm and have to wait for book 4 of the Empyrean Saga till it eventually comes out, probably next year. Oh my goodness, we have a whole year in front of us before something else comes out. I hope you find a new gem that keeps you entertained and glued to the pages till that's the case. If you're looking for some other recommendations outside of the romantasy genre, check out my top 10 books of 2024. Maybe there's something for you. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as another of my videos is online. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you soon with my next video. Bye!